Not everyone made it to spring. That's not a dramatic opening line. It's just the plain, unavoidable fact of winter for almost the entire history of our species. No records, no names, no gravestones. Just fewer people walking out of the cold season than walked into it. That was normal. That was expected. And somehow your ancestors kept doing it anyway, year after year, for over 100,000 years, until eventually one of their descendants was warm enough, safe enough, and comfortable enough to sit down and watch a video about it. Right now, you are warm. You probably don't even notice it. There's a number on a wall somewhere in your home, and if the air drops below it, a machine fixes the problem before your body registers a complaint. Winter, for you, is scraping ice off a windshield and complaining that it gets dark too early. For almost all of human history, winter didn't inconvenience you. It hunted you. And it didn't come at you with one weapon. It came at you with four, all at once. Cold, hunger, predators, and the dark. And any one of them alone could finish the job. So here's the real question. No heating, no stored food from the other side of the planet, no walls that actually sealed out the wind. How did a hairless, clawless, tropical animal walk into some of the coldest places on Earth and survive? Weapon 1. The cold itself. Here's something most people never think about. A human being is, biologically speaking, a tropical animal. We evolved in the warm parts of Africa. Strip away everything we've invented, and a naked human loses body heat fast. Fast enough to slide into hypothermia in a matter of hours in genuinely cold conditions. Fingers stop working. Thinking slows down. Past a certain point, the body simply stops. No thick fur, no claws, no natural insulation worth mentioning. On paper, humans are one of the worst equipped large animals on the planet for surviving a hard winter. And yet we didn't avoid the cold. We walked straight into it, into Ice Age Europe, into Siberia, into places where the air itself can kill an unprotected body in under an hour. The first tool was fire, and fire mattered enormously. But fire has a flaw nobody likes to mention. It only warms the side of you facing it. It doesn't travel. The second you step away to hunt or gather more wood, the cold is right back on you. Fire alone was never going to be enough. What people actually needed was a way to carry warmth with them. Which brings us to what might be the single most underrated invention in human history: clothing. Not just any clothing, not a hide thrown over the shoulders like a cape. That leaves gaps. Wind finds the gaps. Arms are exposed. It slips when you move. A draped skin is better than nothing, but in a real winter, better than nothing still gets you killed. The actual breakthrough was cutting hides into shaped pieces and sewing them back together to fit a human body. Fitted sleeves, closed sides. A garment that traps a layer of warm air against your skin and keeps it there while you move. That's the difference between a blanket and a coat. And that required a needle, not just any needle, a needle with an eye small enough to be delicate and strong enough not to snap, ground down from a sliver of bone. Archaeologists have recovered needles like this dating back more than 40,000 years, some sites even older. Someone sat there, in the cold, and made a tool precise enough to save their species' life, without having any idea that's what they were doing. The thread came from sinew, the tough fiber connecting muscle to bone, stripped, dried, and used to stitch hide into something that actually held. Without that needle, there is no human being surviving a winter in Ice Age Siberia. Full stop. Weapon 2. What's hiding in the dark? You're warm now, or warm enough. But the sun is going down and you have a second problem clothing can't fix. Winter didn't just push humans into shelters, it pushed something else into those same shelters too. Across Ice Age Europe, cave bears needed exactly the same thing humans did every winter: a dry, defensible, wind-blocked hole in a rock to wait out the cold in. At Chauvet Cave in France, archaeologists found more than 100 cave bear skeletons on the same floor humans later painted on. Claw marks on the walls, sleeping hollows pressed into the clay, a bear skull deliberately placed on a stone slab. At Drachenhöhle in Austria, excavators pulled thousands of cave bear remains out of a single system people also used. These weren't peaceful roommates trading a cave back and forth on a polite schedule. A cave good enough for a person to survive winter in was, by definition, also good enough for something with claws to want it back. This is part of why groups almost never wintered alone. Numbers meant someone could always be watching. Fires were kept burning through the night specifically because very few predators will walk toward flame. Entrances were narrowed, blocked with stacked bone or stone, so nothing large could push through without a fight it couldn't win quietly. Survival here was never about being stronger than a cave bear. It was about making sure a fire, a lookout, and a narrow doorway stood between your group and whatever else wanted the same shelter that night. Weapon 3. No cave at all. Which leads to a bigger problem. Deep, dry, defensible caves are rare. If you found one, chances are somebody else wanted it too. Most of the time, if you needed shelter for the winter, you had to build it. This is where it gets genuinely impressive. At a site called Mezhyrich, in what's now Ukraine, archaeologists uncovered the remains of shelters built roughly 15,000 years ago, in a landscape with almost no wood and almost no stone. So the people there built with the one material available in real quantity, mammoth bone. Jawbones stacked like roof tiles. Massive tusks arched over doorways. Hundreds of bones locked together into round, domed structures engineered to survive a brutal season, not thrown together in an afternoon. And they lined them. At Sibudu Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found bedding made from layered grasses and leaves, dating back an astonishing 77,000 years. Evidence that people were making shelters comfortable before our species had even left Africa. But a structure built from bone doesn't fit together perfectly. There are gaps everywhere, and every gap is an open door for wind. So they sealed it, layer by layer, hides stretched over the inside walls, blocks of sod stacked outside, and in some places, packed snow. Because a thick layer of snow is actually an excellent insulator. It traps air, and trapped air holds heat. Piece by piece, the wind ran out of ways in. Weapon 4. The thing that killed the most people. A warm, sealed shelter creates a new problem: fuel. Keeping a fire burning through a long winter takes a lot of wood, and someone has to keep walking back out into the cold to get it. You're tied to that shelter, which means the food has to already be there, waiting, because outside in winter, the land stops feeding you. Plants die back, berries vanish. Roots freeze into the ground. Animals migrate, hide, or grow too lean to be worth hunting. For a group with no stored food, winter turns survival into simple arithmetic, and the numbers don't forgive mistakes. So people got serious about storage. Meat sliced thin and dried over low smoke lost its moisture, and without moisture, it doesn't rot. A rack of drying meat in autumn was, quite literally, insurance against February. Frozen ground became a natural freezer. Dig down into permafrost, pack it with meat, and the same cold trying to kill you would keep your food edible for months. And above all, there was fat, rendered into tallow, mixed with dried meat into a dense, portable store of calories. Because when your body is burning everything it has just to stay warm, lean meat alone isn't enough. In a season where every calorie was a small battle, fat was very often the difference between a group that saw spring and one that didn't. Weapon 5. The one that doesn't touch the body at all. Cold, predators, hunger. Say you've beaten all 3. There's still one more, and it doesn't come for your body. It comes for your mind. The further north you go, the shorter the days get and the longer the nights stretch. Sometimes 15 or 16 hours of cold darkness, with nothing to hunt, nowhere far to go, and the same small group of faces around the same fire, night after night after night. That kind of confinement can wear a person down in ways cold and hunger never do. But here's what people actually did with those hours. They didn't just endure them, they filled them completely. This was workshop time, repairing tools, shaping new spear points, mending clothing, twisting fiber into cordage, carving bone. Everything that didn't need daylight got done here, so the group was ready the instant the weather broke. And it was more than labor. Around that fire, in the dark, is where the older members of a group passed down everything they knew to the younger ones, where stories got told and told again, until they became the group's shared memory. A huge amount of what we now call human culture, myth, song, inherited knowledge, was forged in exactly these conditions. People pressed together against the dark, keeping each other warm, keeping each other sane, keeping each other human until the light came back. Winter didn't just test the body, it built the mind. So here's the full shape of it. Winter came at your ancestors with 4 weapons, and they answered every single one. The cold met with fire and sewn, fitted clothing. The predators sharing their shelter, met with fire, numbers, and narrowed entrances. The hunger met with drying, freezing, and rendering food into stores that could carry a group for months. And the endless dark turned into the workshop and the classroom where human culture itself got made. Nearly every technology that let our species spread into every climate on this planet was forged under exactly this pressure. The hardest season on Earth didn't just fail to kill us. It made us. And now, look at you. You turn a dial, and the room gets warm. You open a door, and there's food grown on the other side of the planet, in the middle of December. You complain the sun sets too early from inside a house your ancestors could not have imagined, having never once felt the specific fear of watching the first snowfall and wondering if you'd stored enough to see spring. You don't survive winter anymore. You barely notice it, not because winter got weaker, because 100,000 years of people freezing, starving, and huddling against the dark, together, slowly figured out how to beat it, one invention at a time, so that you would never have to.